back, isn't it?
Yeah, it definitely is. This is a Case for Pace with Cody Tuchek and Alex Reed.
Round 2.
Round 2.
It is Monday, March the 28th. Just coming up to the end of the day.
Yeah, it's about the end of the day, and we've got a couple good topics for you guys. Kind of as the season dwindles down, I think we're down to maybe last
2 weeks, I'd say.
10 games, something like that.
9
this
games
season.
now, I think, yeah.
So, but we got a couple interesting topics to start off with. And one of our biggest things that we're looking at, and we kind of looked at it from this past season, with all the success that the Golden State Warriors have had, there's multiple comments about people saying that what they've been doing has never been done before. Maybe record-wise it's never been done before, but as far as style of play goes, there's a lot of similarities that we've seen in comparisons with the mid-2000s Suns. I mean, would you agree with me? Or?
Oh, absolutely. And you know, it's funny that you bring that up because I remember the exact day that we were talking about this. It was a Wednesday night. We were just coming back from one of our classes that we have together, and I remember because one of our other friends was with us, and I came to this conclusion just kind of sitting on my couch, and I don't know. I was just thinking about it, and I thought to myself, wait a minute, have we really not seen this before? Like the biggest thing is that everybody, you know, all the announcers, they keep saying, oh yeah, we've never seen anything like this before. You know, we've never seen a team play like this before. And I thought back, and all of a sudden Steve Nash popped into my mind, and the Phoenix Suns popped into my mind. And then I started putting the pieces together, and I said, wait a minute. This is almost a carbon copy of that Phoenix Suns team.
Of the system that they ran.
Oh, not just the system, but a lot of the players match up. You know, like I guess we can really break this down, and I think we should, because I don't think anybody else has come to this conclusion yet. Nobody else has put all these pieces together and thought, I understand where this is coming from, and stuff like that. So, you know, what we're looking at. Okay.
We're looking at a couple different stats in comparison with the roster. Really, between both teams, if you're looking at the makeup of each roster, through the 1 through the 5 on both the 06 to 07 Suns and this year's Golden State Warriors, it's full of specialists and players that can just make plays for each other.
Absolutely.
And you have the same exact thing with that 06, 07 Suns team. And the system that they were brought into with that 7 seconds or less system is essentially the same thing that they're running currently in Golden State, and they've been doing for a number of years now.
No. Actually, that's not exactly true, because this is just a recent addition. This is why this is so new, is because the system that was brought in last season won them a championship. Mark Jackson's system, he was the coach here before Steve Kerr. He got fired after getting beat in the first round by the Clippers. He was the coach here before. He got beat before that. You remember that series. That was one of the biggest, devastating series. After I think Golden State made it to the conference finals the year before. And they played the Spurs, and they got beat by the Spurs. It was a heartbreaking series. They really dished out with the Spurs, and they gave them a competitive series. But they got beat the next season in the first round in 7 games by the Clippers. It was a heartbreaking series, Mark Jackson gets fired. They bring in Steve Kerr. Now, this is where these rookie coaches started coming into the league. They brought in Steve Kerr. And would you like to fill me in on who that associate head coach was that they brought in?
On what team?
On Golden State, yeah.
Was it Alvin Gentry?
Alvin Gentry. Where was he before? Where was he before?
He was with Phoenix.
Yeah, he was not only was he the head coach of Phoenix, he was one of D'Antoni's assistants. Who,
so he knew the ins and outs of that system previously.
He helped D'Antoni run it.
Exactly.
They're really, when he was brought in, he wasn't the assistant coach. He was the associate head coach. So Steve Kerr was the front man. Gentry did all the fundamental stuff, and they decided, okay, well, we have all of the infrastructure on this team to run a 7 seconds or less, like we did in Phoenix. Why not run that system? And I tell you, in this era where systems reign supreme, there aren't good players anymore. There aren't great players. There are great systems. You're seeing systems now. This is what happens when there's a lot of parity. Great systems come out, and there aren't any great players that dominate the league. Golden State Warriors is a system. It's not just Steph Curry. Steph Curry is one of the major pieces. But honestly, Curry and Bogut together are as good as anything else as good as Duncan and Parker are together. The fact that they are both on the court, they shouldn't be on the court together. Let's just put it like that. Bogut is not good enough to be on the court with these guys. Yet he's out there, and he's one of the most important pieces of this team.
I think one of the main reasons that he's still out there is mainly because he's able to go out there and make plays for his team.
He's a system
guy.
Big.
Yeah.
I mean, this is what happens when you have system players. The Phoenix Suns were full of system players. They were fantastic. They were loaded with system players. Steve Nash is a system player. He ran the pick and roll, which, by the way, is exactly what the Golden State Warriors run in their half-court offense. They run pick and roll, mostly with Draymond Green, or they run at 1-5 with Andrew Bogut. And Green is a lot of times the man who passes out of the first pass. That's why he gets so many assists, is because they have him sitting in one corner, and Klay Thompson is right next to him up there on the wing. And he's the first guy who gets the ball. So they fling it to the corner. When somebody helps across, he flips it over to Thompson or Harrison Barnes or whoever else is standing there, and they take the shot. That's why Draymond Green, he's the first pass. That's why their offense is so efficient.
Yeah, I was about to say, that's one thing that I think Phoenix definitely lacked is that 4 position being utilized almost as a pass first.
Well, no, actually.
I mean, that's why Draymond Green is the leading assist man on that Golden State Warriors
team.
Actually,
I disagree with you because both had instrumental 4s.
I agree with that.
Both had instrumental 4s. They played differently because it was a different game. Now, let's put it into perspective. Amari Stoudemire was the playmaker, like Draymond Green is the playmaker. But instead, Amari Stoudemire rolls to the basket, and he forces the entire team to collapse. He was a
flat-out scorer.
And he was strong. God, he was strong. He was one of those guys that would attack the rim. He's one of those guys in the pick and roll when Nash broke it down and he gets the ball right in front of the rim. He's going to dunk it on your face. He will dunk it on you. And he was a great finisher and high scorer, great rebounder. But they were different. They were different play styles, but they still ran their entire offense through that. When everything else breaks down, those guys are the playmakers. Those guys make all the plays for other people, whether it's, taking the bucket in when the 7 seconds or less breaks down, Or when Curry drives in off a different pick and roll, kicks it to Draymond Green. Now Draymond Green has the ball in his hands. He looks around. He's got shooters, perfect ball spacing. He decides whatever he wants to do in the moment. He can put up a shot fake and the defender will go for it. He can walk right around him and go to the rim and then pass it off to somebody who's sitting around the rim. He can throw it to Klay Thompson for a shot. He can throw it for Harrison Barnes for a shot. Iguodala for a shot. He can flip it down to Festus Ezeli to get him a shot. He can flip it back around to Curry. They have so many options on that team, but it's all about that first pass out of the pick and roll, like it is for both of those teams.
I agree.
Both teams are very, very reliant on the pick and roll. Both teams run the pick and roll.
They run it I think they ran it slightly different. I think that's more of the times and how they.
Oh yeah,
and it's adjusted because a common thing that I've seen with the Golden State Warriors is they'll run that triple curl on top of the 3-point line.
Yeah,
and that's more of a new style type of thing. I mean, they're definitely fitting in with the more new style play.
Well, you see a lot of teams doing that now, where they have the 2-guard running off of back screens and up screens. JJ Redick has made a career out of doing this in LA. They got Kyle Korver that loves to do that, and Klay Thompson loves to run off that triple double screen. They love to set back screens and flare screens that help these guys get open and force these weird matchups where these dead shots are sitting in the corner wide open. And they love running Curry off those little flare screens where they have Green set the screen for him on the block, and then Bogut come around and set the first screen, and Curry comes around, so they have to get around Bogut, and then they have to get around Draymond Green, and Curry just runs to the corner. And they get these wide open shots. I mean, that's another part of the game that's developed, is how to use the 2 guards effectively. But that helps with the offense. That helps counterbalance because of the personnel having a Klay Thompson there. That's so good at running off these screens and such a good shooter, that they've just developed this other offense. But at the end of the day, they still rely heavily on the pick and roll. But it's about personnel. It's that 2-guard position was the one position that the Suns weren't as strong as Golden State. And I feel like that was the only difference, was that instead of Klay Thompson being the 2-man, Stoudemire was the second. Well, I guess Nash was the second man in that, but you put Nash and Curry on the same level together. And they both initiate a lot of the offense.
I just looked at their stats in comparison between Curry and Steve Nash. Both shot around 45% from 3.
There you go.
Both shot over 50% from the field.
There you go.
It's just Curry and Thompson are the main guys. The thing that made Phoenix really unique is they had a 5-man rotation at all times that could go out there and score with the best, and they had a lot more of a balanced scoring than Golden State does. Now Golden State is scoring at a higher rate because they have 2 elite shooters, in Curry and Thompson.
Yeah,
but they're still exceptionally balanced on. No matter who is out there at any time.
Absolutely. That's funny because I want to make the last comparison. Those stats are almost the exact same, and
they really are.
They're very similar. The only thing that's different between them is the mindset. The mindset was everything. We've seen a lot of players that have the mindset to shoot but shouldn't.
J.R. Smith.
J.R. Smith. Yes. He's one of those guys that really should think more when he has the ball in his hands.
Golden State is basically a carbon copy of Phoenix. They have a different personnel that run the system at a much quicker pace.
Yeah. Let's get back to my point real quick because I don't think I finished my point. The biggest thing with the biggest thing between Nash and Curry was the mindset. The mindset was the biggest thing that was different. Very rarely have we. This is what makes Curry so unbelievable. It's not what he's doing, and it's not even what Golden State is doing that's so impressive. It's the way that they do it, because we have never seen a player like Curry who has the will and the sheer will to shoot it. All the confidence in the world that he's going to make it.
And not only that, he's the leading scorer.
Oh, yeah.
30 minutes a game.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
30 points in 30 minutes.
Mm-hmm. But we've never seen a player that has the confidence to shoot and the will to shoot as well as as well as doing it. And also doing it efficiently and with the range that he does it, with how accurate he is one of the most unbelievable shooters that we have ever seen because of the way that he does it. It's not the shooting touch. We've seen great shooters, man. Ray Allen and Reggie Miller. Reggie Miller's actually still, in my opinion, and he will deny it until the day that he dies. He believes that he's not the greatest shooter ever. I believe that Reggie Miller's the greatest shooter ever. I still hold it this day. Larry Bird is my second because Larry Bird is just unbelievable. His shooting, it wasn't 3-point shooting, it was the mid-range. The mid-range was just unbelievable.
And I think more impressive about Larry Bird was more about,
wearing the sleeve jacket when he was shooting in the 3-point contest.
I wouldn't. Not only that.
Well, that was pretty impressive. But the sleeves.
The fact, it wasn't even so much about the shooting, but how well of a balanced player he was overall. Yeah. I think he averaged over his career a double-double. He was like a 22-10 guy over his career. And for a guy that had multiple injuries throughout.
For a guy who is not mobile.
The slow white guy, pretty much.
Yeah, basically. He was Cody Tuchek, except he was about 6 inches taller.
Pretty much. But
I think I just called you a slow white guy.
I think when God.
Sorry. Laughing about this, but that's too funny, man. I tell you.
I will make a gesture. You've made this comment before with the whole hand checks thing.
Yeah.
That team, since hand checks are not allowed anymore, teams like that Phoenix Suns team.
Yeah.
That was that coming out year for the 7 seconds or less system, I would definitely say. And ever since then, teams have trialed and erred through it and just couldn't get the right personnel. But this is the right personnel. And this is a reincarnation of what that team was, basically. It's just a heck of a lot more efficient.
It is.
Then again, we could get into another topic like, that Phoenix team, should have went a lot farther in the playoffs than indicated. But that's another topic for later.
Yeah, it's one of those what ifs, and we like what ifs because I don't think there's a wrong answer.
Because they were the heavy favorites for that year, if you recall. I think they were number one. If I'm not mistaken, I think they were number one in the Western Conference. I know they were first in their division. We can look that up later, but I know that they were the favorites for the actual playoffs that year. But
we've just we've never seen, and if you guys have never seen Steve Nash play, you guys definitely need to, because Steve Nash was an unbelievable passer, and that's the passing touch. The part that nobody talks about is Curry's passing, and it is very identical to Steve Nash's passing. He's got the exact same vision
He's
that
got the
Nash
finesse
did.
that he has.
Oh, I mean, with both hands. He's
Yeah.
he's creative. He's creative. That's the one thing about Curry that
I don't
I've
know
seen.
if you saw a few nights ago, there was a highlight in which he threw pretty much a full court pass on the drive with his left hand. All the way down court.
The one pass that I remember seeing is there's a pick and roll, and one of the guys cuts towards the rim, and they're trying to cut, like, one of the guys that was guarding him was trying to come around the screen, and he just kind of flips it with his left hand, does a little like flip pass, and just kind of flips his wrist a little bit and hits the guy right on the money. He just kind of lays it up, and I was like, oh my god, with the left hand. He just kind of flicked it with his left hand. Ended up right in the palm of the guy's hand. He flipped it up. It was a perfect pass. It was an unbelievable pass. He was going to his left, throwing left, so he was throwing across his body right into the guy's chest. Bop, hit him right in the hands. It was beautiful.
I got a real question though.
Yeah.
And yeah, I didn't get to finish up on this.
Yeah.
This issue earlier. I think that, you know, since teams like this were able to thrive without the hand check rule, which is when this whole style really first started.
Yeah.
Do you first question? Do you think that Curry would be able to or Nash would be able to thrive the way they have? And also, do you think Curry, in my personal opinion, I think he goes down as a top 5 scorer of all time. Do you think he's in that category still with that rule still in place?
That's a few questions. But for the first part, I think that, look, we put a lot on the hand check. The hand check is basically everything. Honestly, in the game of basketball, if you can put your hands on somebody and prevent them from turning the corner on you, if you can do that with your hands, you've totally stopped the guy in front of you.
Exactly.
The physicality from this game is gone. And that's the argument that people keep using when they compare eras. And I think we should get into that, because that is ridiculous. These people that compare eras. It's a different game. But the hand check was just a recent rule. And you can make arguments both ways. Why the hand check was a good thing that the NBA got out. It's not like it was higher scoring because the hand check was gone. Actually, the defensives have gotten so good, the scoring is down.
Yeah.
Scoring has gone down every single year since like the 80s.
I'd say even outside of scoring, I think you also have to take a look at defensive efficiency ratings as well. That's the biggest indicator for me.
So that's one.
Scoring, because scoring is just a generalized thing. Because you could take a sample of the league from any year, and it's all based off of the average. Yeah, it's all relative based off of who's scoring.
Yeah.
But I think the real key indicator is where that team ranks defensively and all that.
Yeah.
And if I'm looking at that Phoenix team,
they were averaging 110 points per game, giving up 102. In that 1 year.
And they were first in offensive efficiency, and their defensive rating was still in the top half of the league.
Yeah.
Now, where's Golden State stand with that?
I think they're first in
offense. More than likely first in offense.
Yeah.
Their defensive rating is much higher. That's why they have the record they do.
Well, I mean, if anything, they're
fifth in defensive rating.
Yeah.
You know, they're giving up a lot of points, but you also have to consider they're scoring 5.5 more points per game than the Phoenix team.
Yeah, they are. But I don't think that's not really that. But again, scoring is relative in that regard. So is that the strength of the league this season that's talking, or is it just a different part of the game?
Well, I'd say
because I think in 06-07 they still had hand checks. I don't think hand checks went out until 2008. for some reason, I feel like 2008 was the first season that they didn't have handshakes. But I mean, it's a different style. It's not a different style. Let's rephrase that. It's not a different style, but it's different mentality. At the end of the day, Phoenix's mentality was still get out and take a really quick shot. But if you didn't, okay, so yeah, you're right. It was in 2004, 2005. I remember that. I remember that because that was the Detroit Pistons year. That was the year that the Pistons won, and if any, which is ironic, the year that they got rid of it because the most physical team won that season. But where was I going? I was going on the Phoenix Suns, right? They didn't have as many scores, but they had great scores. At the end of the day, Phoenix would get the ball to the rim. That's the one difference is at the end of the day, Amari Stoudemire was gonna get the touch.
They still have finishers at the rim.
Oh yeah. They have better finishers at the rim. I think they have better finishers.
And they were still a great 3-point shot, 40% as a team.
Well, guys like Raja Bell, Joe Johnson, even guys like Sean Marion.
But when all else failed, they could always throw it into the post.
Yeah,
that's something that definitely has separated between the styles of play between Golden State is. Outside of Draymond Green, who you can throw it to in the post every now and then, who else can you really throw it to?
I'd say you probably have a better chance of getting Bogut in a
he
post.
Can make a you make him a passer in the post. So is how much can you rely on him in offense? So.
That team has no legitimate post threat. And to be honest, I don't know how much you need until you play the San Antonio Spurs.
But also, you gotta consider when you're shooting 42% from three as a team, do you really need that much of a post threat?
Maybe against the Spurs, you do.
Yeah.
What happens when they close all those options down?
Because you saw that recent game with the Spurs when
they held Golden State to 79 points. Well, they only scored like 85 themselves, and I don't know if was Duncan playing in that game. I don't think Duncan was playing in that game. I think he was hurt.
I remember last time he played. Anyway.
Yeah, Tim Duncan.
He'll be ready for playoffs, but
yeah, I always like hearing that. That's my favorite. I'm being sarcastic. That's my favorite saying from the Spurs. Oh yeah, we'll be ready for the playoffs.
Just breathe.
We're not going to be ready now, but we're going to be ready for the playoffs.
You know they're ready.
Thanks, Popovich. I appreciate it.
You know they know they're ready the entire time.
I know. I'm already salty about it. That's why. Because I know what's going to happen.
They're going to breeze all the way to the
I know what's going to happen. Yeah.
You know they're going to breeze all the way to the conference final.
If they play the Thunder, they will.
Yeah.
They will. They might have a. Well, I think they'll beat the Clippers, but I don't know about the Spurs. But you know what? To finally finish off this Golden State thing, I'm just, part of me is kind of sick of it already. The Spurs, like not the Spurs, but Golden State, like I'm getting sick of it. And you know what? I shouldn't be. Because this is everything that I love about a team. This is everything that I love about a team. They rebuilt through the draft. They hard-nosed everything. They got the right system. They did it the right way. They did everything the right way. And I love it. I love that team. But it just irritates me. It really irritates me. And you know what? Golden State has deserved a championship team. They've deserved this team for so long. Everything about me wants to like this. I promise you, everything about me wants to like it, but I can't. I can't. Because of all the people that are all of a sudden turning over to Golden State. I just hate that. Everybody now all of a sudden wants to watch Golden State. Do you know how much that irritates me? Why weren't you guys doing that 6 years ago? Do any of you guys know who was on that team 6 years ago? That's the only part that irritates me is nobody knows who that was. Both of us, Both of us have watched bad teams because we loved the team. Both of us have struggled through rough, rough times as an NBA fan. We've watched controversy, we've watched hardship, and we've watched our team get dethrottled by other people. LeBron James. Both of us have watched LeBron James best both of our teams.
Michael Redd for me.
Michael Redd. There you go. It's just frustrating because where were these people at 5 years ago? I feel for the real Golden State fan, the fan that went to games.
Because they actually, even when a Golden State game 5-6 years ago would come on occasionally on ESPN, they'd still have a pretty packed crowd.
They're a great crowd.
They're some of the greatest fans in the entire league.
They have some of the best fans in the world, honestly. They are the most loyal people. They have sat there in games for 40 years waiting for another Rick Barry team to come along. They have sat there for 40 years since 1975 waiting for a championship team to come. They got to watch Run DMC. They got a little taste of that. What could have been had they put a front court around that team? What could have been? And you've heard me scream and yell and complain about this because I loved Run TMC. They were one of my favorite teams of all time. Nobody knows who Mitch Richmond is, and it really irritates me. I'm more of a Golden State fan than most of these guys because I know that Don Nelson and Mike Dunleavy were there. I know the struggle of having Don Nelson as my head coach. And I honestly, I liked Golden State. I wasn't a Rick Barry fan. I never was a fan of Rick Barry, personally. That's just my opinion. He was a great player. I just wasn't a personal fan of him. Nothing that he did, as a person made me not like him. I just wasn't a Rick Barry fan. But I loved Run TMC. I loved those teams. And I hated the way that they were coached. And I hated the way that the front court was put together. But I loved those teams. Nobody can name a front court member. I'd be honest. I bet you all these people who claim to be a Golden State fan, I bet you most of these guys can't tell me who Chris Mullin was. They don't know that Tim Hardaway was actually a great player.
Or that Jerry Stackhouse was on the team.
Stackhouse.
Or Antoine Jameson.
Wasn't Jermaine O'Neal on that team too at one point?
Yeah, I think back in...
Later in his career, I think.
Maybe 11, maybe?
But and people can't tell me that. You're not a Golden State fan if you don't know who those guys are. That's the one thing that irks me, is that all these people are fans now. Now that they get to watch something incredible. Now that they get to watch, I have to sit and watch the Bulls disappoint me again and again. Oh, yeah, tonight, yeah. And again. Tonight, yeah.
Mike Dunleavy missing a wide open layup to tie it.
Yeah, well, no, that was to put him up by that was to get him down, to get the game down to 1, and he missed that.
But still.
Jeez. I just had a huge eye roll there. That was really frustrating. And I finally got to hear my favorite announcers talk too, and lost the game. But seriously. People, it's just frustrating. Like, it's like the Heat thing, except that nobody was really a Heat fan.
Nobody went to the Heat games.
No, nobody.
I mean, you look at those Heat crowds.
Nobody liked the Heat.
Yeah, you looked at the Heat crowds now. I mean, all the times that they've been on ESPN, which is little or none now.
Well, yeah.
But when they do come on ESPN, you see how little people actually go to those games.
Yeah. Well, I like the Heat now. I love the Heat now.
I love the defensive mindset.
I don't mind Dwayne Wade that much. Now, there's some people that don't like Dwayne Wade very much, but I don't mind Chris Bosh.
I mean, now that, he's... I gotta say, now that he's with better influences like Chris Bosh, because I think him and Chris Bosh were better teammates than him and LeBron ever were.
Yeah, I agree. But it's the same thing. I hated the Heat because a lot of people a lot of outlets always focused on them. And you know what? It's the same thing. There's good basketball happening every day that gets overlooked. There's great basketball every single day. Watching Portland is one of the greatest experiences that I've had this season. Just the amazement of watching that first Portland game. The first game where they figured it out. Watching McCollum and Lillard devastate the other team. Take turns just dropping bombs on the other team's defense was one of the best experiences I've had this season. Watching Paul George walk back onto a basketball court. Watching him dominate again. Better than he was the season before he had that horrible injury. Just getting to watch him do that. Getting to watch all these other great moments. How the Spurs continuously piss me off. You know? Year after year for the last 18 seasons. They've driven me crazy, and I love it. All those moments have been overlooked. You realize that the Spurs are going to break the record for the best point differential ever.
Not a lot of people even know that either.
No. They have a better point differential than the Golden State Warriors. Now, to be honest, both are going to break the record.
They probably will, yeah.
No, they will. They're going to break the record. Both of them will. But, I mean, that season, it's the greatest season in Spurs history. Yeah, everybody's talking about Golden State. And that is my only vice with teams like that, is that somebody else is getting overlooked when you're talking about them.
Do you think in a 7-game series, who do you think has the upper edge, though? I personally think, because both are extremely good on both ends of the court.
Dominant.
I think San Antonio has a slight upper edge in this series because when it comes playoff time, it's all about defense and it's all about matchups.
Yeah,
but if you think about it, I think the Spurs have a slight bit more depth on their team, and they have a greater defensive tenacity on that team than Golden State does.
You know, I've got to. Do I really have to play devil's advocate here?
Yeah.
All right, I'll play devil's advocate. Cody's making me play devil's advocate. No, all right. I'll pick Golden State. Look, and not because I want to. Actually, I was hoping you were going to pick Golden State so that I could pick San Antonio. But you know what?
It's hard because I really do like both teams.
You know what? But here's the one thing that I think that will change the entire series is you got Kawhi Leonard, who's just a fantastic player, and Steph Curry. Those two guys are going to go at it, and it's going to be great. The one matchup that's going to change everything. Who wins the Aldridge Green matchup? Who wins that matchup? Whoever wins that matchup will probably win the series.
I also think you know what? I think especially since both teams' benches have had to produce pretty significantly.
Yeah.
This season, both teams tend to sit their starters quite a bit.
Yeah.
And I think they're definitely going to utilize their stars a lot more in these playoffs.
Oh, yeah.
Don't expect their bench to be as big as they are this season.
Well, it's crazy.
And if they do, it's probably going to be one or two guys less than they are utilizing right now.
Mm-hmm. I'd agree with that, but I just think that both teams could play 10 men in the playoffs. How crazy is that? I mean, both teams can play 10 guys.
Who do you think has a better second man lineup though?
The better bench.
I think it's San Antonio.
That's a tough question, man. Because if you look down both rosters, you got Iguodala, Livingston, Ezeli. Marie Spates has been good, and Barbosa, Ian Clark. There's so many. There's such a deep. They're both such deep teams to watch, and then on the other end you have Manu Ginobili. You've got Kyle Anderson. Uh, what's the kid's name? Simmons. That's who is that kid? What is that kid's name? Brandon is. I'll think of it here in a second. But he's really good rookie. He's a really
Is
good.
it Justin Anderson?
No, not Justin Anderson's on Dallas.
Yeah.
Yeah, no. His last name is Simmons, but I can't remember
I know
his.
Corey Joseph.
No, Corey Joseph is on Toronto now.
That's right.
Yeah, but
Yeah, Patty Mills.
Patty Mills, Diaw, David West.
David now.
Oh my goodness.
What's his? Kevin Martin.
Yeah, Kevin Martin's there. Andre Miller.
Oof.
Boban Marjanovic. Guy came out of nowhere.
Really good backup center now.
7'2", I think, is what his frame is. 7'2" or something.
He's got half decent touch too.
He's like 275 pounds. He's huge.
That's probably all in his ears too.
Come on, man.
Come on, man.
Don't
elf ears, man.
Don't hate on the ears, man. Don't hate on the ears, man. He'll drop you. But
I gotta give the upper hand bench wise to San Antonio though.
Yeah,
that team is just stacked. I mean, that's even a 12-man rotation right there.
And that's not including Danny Green, Tony Parker. You got
that starting lineup is
ridiculous. It's just ridiculously good. Kawhi Leonard, LaMarcus Aldridge, and Tim Duncan. How good is that lineup, man?
That's a really good one.
How good is that lineup?
I think come playoff time they do have a slight edge. It will be a highly competitive series, though. It will. Don't expect.
I don't think it'll be.
Don't expect Golden State to get past 105 any of these games.
Here's the funny part. I don't know if it's going to be an exciting series or not. I don't know how exciting it's going to be. Is it going to be Spurs basketball that we're going to watch? Who's going to dictate the tempo?
Agonizingly slow.
They are both polar opposites of each other. They are polar opposites of one another. Polar opposites.
Efficiently slow offense
versus efficiently fast offense. You know who typically wins those games? Efficiently slow offense.
It's crazy to think about.
Typically wins.
I would even make a gesture that that San Antonio runs a slower offense than Cleveland does. And that's saying something.
That's saying something, yeah. Because their offense is running at a snail's pace. Which, funny enough, it's gotten worse.
Yeah.
Somehow under Tyronn Lue, they've gotten worse. But no. I mean, it's just a tale of two different styles, two different play styles, and you know what? It'll be a grueling series, and it'll be a fun series to watch. And then at the end of the day, it'll just be kind of a dogfight. So I don't know, man. I'll tell you. I think that's kind of a tough thing. So you know what? Let's move away from the playoff picture for a little bit. And I wanted to get into another team that has actually really surprised me this season. Because I didn't think that they were going to be this good.